What's up, folks? It's your girl Lisa with a Z, and it is Lisa with the Z Menz week. And I am ready to drop another episode on you guys. I have one of the best influencers in the MMA community, and he has a documentary coming out soon. Please welcome Rob from McDojolife to the Lisa with the Z podcast.
What up, man?
What's up? I'm so excited you're on the show. Finally.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you having me on. I always love talking shop, so I'm happy to be on the show.
I'm glad too. I am a fan of all your content and your YouTube channel, and I've been following you for some time. And I remember when I first started the podcast, I think it was right after like maybe Kat's episode, or like either she filmed me or I filmed her, because we both were on each other's podcast. So I do remember when I first started, and then you just kept telling me like, hey, if this is like something that you really want to do, keep hustling, keep working at it, just keep sharing, keep connecting, keep networking. And honestly, I've taken that advice, and a couple months later, here I am. I mean, I got you on the show finally, and I've been working hard, man. I've been trying to like travel, and putting out all this content, and trying to put organic material out.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And I appreciate you, and I look up to you as like one of the people here with such good at marketing and networking, and I've taken your advice and it's been working. So thank you so much for that advice.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, like Kat had hired me out to help her out with some consulting work. So I helped her out on how to like grow her social media and gave her some advice and things like that. And then the best thing that you could possibly do is collaborate with people. Like if you really want growth, you have to get people to want to work with you. And so what a lot of people will do is they'll like work hard, but they're just running in place. No one's going to, it's like making the best pizza in the world, right? I know it's the best pizza in the world, and everyone who's tried it knows it. But if you don't advertise and market it, your pizza is going to sit on the table and no one's going to eat that shit. So when it comes down to like growth on social media, it's all about making sure that not just the people who follow you know you exist, because they're already happy with the product. It's about finding out those other people who know that your friends exist, but they don't necessarily know you. So it's about closing those gaps of separation. And once you start doing that, man, start making bank. Like the internet's great because it's just a bunch of people who are bored, who have money. Like they want to pay someone. Like there are people out there who get paid for feet. How gross is that? They get paid for feet. And guess what? It's because they marketed themselves and they could sell anything. Like there's somebody out there who made $1 million selling pencils. There's a person who made fake dog poo, and that made them $1 billion. You know what I'm saying? So you can sell anything as long as you work hard.
Facts. Okay. You got me thinking about a lot of things. I mean, ideas that I want to work out, and I'm exclusively saying it on this episode. I finally have my merch coming out, like my first set of the shirts with the Z podcast shirts coming out soon by Graphics Bar. Thank you so much. He's the best, honestly. Like he's been working with me to come up with the design for the first shirt, and they'll be dropping soon. So,
sweet, man.
So how did you start McDojolife, so people can get a little background on who you are and what you represent?
I got you. Well, I've been training in the arts for about 24 years, so that makes me old as shit. But I started when I was 12, and then I just kept training, and I kept doing different things, and I kept trying to find a way to be successful. I competed like on an international kickboxing team for 2 years. But that I got burned out real quick because we competed every weekend. We did a local, we did a state, we did a national, we did international, and it just kept going that way. And like I was 6'1", 155 pounds. So I was like super skinny, and all I wanted to do was eat food. And so like, but I couldn't because I was on this team and I had to compete. That was my weight class I competed at for the team. And so after that, I started jujitsu and opened up my own martial arts school at the same time. And then I became a coach for a jujitsu academy. So I did more of that and focused on that. And one of the days, one of our instructors, or actually the owner, was sick. And he was like, yo, dude, can't come in today. Would you do me a favor and cover class? And I was like, yeah, for sure. I'll cover class. Not a problem. Taught the class after class was over. It was a noon class. We all just kind of stood around shooting the shit, talking. And the subject of McDojos came up. So we started talking about that subject, and then everyone left except for one guy. And that guy, it was only his second class ever. So like first official class, I guess, because he did his trial class and now he's like an official member.
Yeah.
And he goes, hey, man, he pulled me off to the side while everybody was leaving. He goes, I'm a little embarrassed, but I just don't know what a McDojo is. Could you kind of explain that to me? And I explained to him now what's like the base rules that I have for what a McDojo are. And he goes, well, how come no one does anything about that? And I was like, well, I don't know. That's a solid question. And so then I couldn't stop thinking about it. And the next day I just started McDojolife. And then it's kind of evolved over the years. And now it's like a lot more satire. Like when I first started, I was way more brutal. And now I kind of do it in a more funny way. And people seem to respond to that better.
Yeah, I mean, I do laugh at some of the stuff that you do put up. I think the other day I was watching the channel and it was about like this karate, like online karate school or something, like getting black belts online. And I was like, what?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
Just a few hours and you can like take down anybody in the streets. And I'm like, what? You mean I've been doing all this hard work for years for nothing just to take a class for a couple hours and get my black belt? Sign me up today.
And like, I don't, like me personally, I don't have a problem with like online training in itself. Like
Right.
we all do the shit, right? We all have a sensei YouTube that we use from time to time. And we got like a new technique we're working on. And so has this like digital download out and we watch that and we try to figure out and pick their brain. But I draw the line when they lie to you. Like you're not going to be effective and efficient if you're training by yourself in your own home. You need other bodies, other body types, you need to be kind of put in uncomfortable positions because a real fight or a real altercation is uncomfortable. And if you're not comfortable with being uncomfortable, then you're not going to be effective because your adrenaline dump is going to hit you differently. It's going to be way more scary. If you've never been punched in the face, the first time is going to be a super shock to you.
It is.
But if you have, I don't know, I like certain people, like if you get punched in the face, I'm like, well, I got to get you back.
Like, yeah. Not me.
But there are people out there who've never had that experience and they have this false sense of security where they watch this online video. They think that that's going to protect them or save their life. There are so many scenarios that you can't even prepare for. So trying to prepare for as many as you can is important. And half of that is getting to know different body types and aggressiveness. And certain people, when you train with them, are great. That's the guy you train with or girl. That's the person you train with whenever you might want to have a light day, and they're good at that and they help you and you actually learn a lot. But there's also those killers on the mat where you're like, I want to push myself today. That's who I need to train with. And at home, you're probably not going to get that. And so that's false sense of security. It'll get you hurt.
For me, I feel like, yes, it has grown the online training, especially during like the pandemic. It's like it skyrocketed because we had no other choice. We're stuck indoors. So many businesses, so many mixed martial arts gyms had to shut down during that time. So they had to come up with the alternative. I get that part. But yeah, I do agree with you about the lies and just, giving out certifications just probably for money and profit. So that's why I'm glad that you do stuff like that, because there are gullible people, there are naive people that will go to YouTube and say, oh my God, I could be a black belt now. But, you won't know until you really put yourself in that training position to go against the big guy or to go against the small guy in the gym, So I do appreciate you for that. How has it changed your life? Because now I see you're like on the road all the time, you're filming this documentary. And I'm excited for that to come out just to see it too, because I've seen like, you on the road and the social media posts. So how has this changed your life?
Well, I mean, one day like my full-time career, pretty much the majority of my adult life has been teaching martial arts. Which was a ridiculous thing, by the way, and I'm not condoning this, but this is also a part of me understanding what a McDojo is. But when I was 16 years old, I was actually the head instructor of a karate school. So like I was 16, like I had no business being in charge of anything at 16. But I was put in that position where I was teaching every class. I was teaching all the adult classes, karate, kickboxing classes, kids classes. And it was really for no other reason other than the instructor just didn't want to do it. And so I did it. And then I learned a lot during that time. Like to get respect as a kid, you have to like fight for that respect. So I was getting in all out wars like almost every night, because anytime that I would have those issues with adults who just didn't want to listen or be respectful, I'd be like, all right, fuck it. I already know last 15 minutes we're putting on gloves. Like, all right, guys, glove up. And then you'd have to like fight these dudes who are grown men who are just cocky, who think that they know better when they've never fought a day in their life.
Right.
And so, that was rough. And then basically pursuing martial arts as a career can be a very difficult thing. And so I taught all the time. I was working at jobs here and there to be able to continue to be able to teach. And then I was running a summer camp. And then all of a sudden my phone one day started just like buzzing, because my shit's always on silent. So it was just buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. So I thought something was wrong. So I just shut it off and put it back in my pocket and went about my day. And then hours later, I had somebody walk up to me and, hey man, congratulations on your shout out on Rogan. And I was like, oh, well, that's cool. I didn't know when I opened my phone, if you have an iPhone, you'll know this, but like the notifications will just like blow up on your screen. And so I was like, oh shit. And so that was like the start. And then, other things that I had done independently were doing well. Like I got an internet troll beat up because this dude said that, women could never beat men in a fight. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I could find a chick to beat your ass. And then I did. And then that became like a big post on Reddit. But it's been really cool to go from all these different avenues and jobs in the martial arts to now this. And it hasn't really changed much. I mean, I'd probably be doing this shit anyway. The difference is now I just don't do it for free. Like now I'm just not broke all the goddamn time. I don't have to eat ramen noodles and shit. So, it's cool. Like you get to meet a lot of cool people. You understand that the martial arts industry is a lot smaller than people from the outside think it is.
Oh yeah. 100%.
It's a tight community, and you could know somebody who lives in Japan, or know somebody who lives in Brazil, and know somebody who lives in Canada. And it's because most people don't pursue a career of getting punched in the face for money. So like, right. I think those people are missing out personally, but that's just me. But yeah, so you realize how small the community is, and then you realize how cool people in the industry really are,
It is true. I've met a lot of great people, including you, along the way. I'm looking forward to meeting more, and interviewing more people, and like getting Lisa with a Z out there for sure. So I want to know about this documentary. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, we actually just finished filming it like a month ago. So we're officially done filming. We have one more interview we want to film that kind of fell in our lap after the fact, where we're like, oh yeah, we're definitely putting that interview in there. And it's somebody super famous. I can't exactly tell you exactly who it is, but it's a super famous con man in the martial arts industry. Okay. But we interviewed 5 super famous con men, one of which was already in jail. So we had permission to film him in jail, which was great because that dude gave us all kinds of information. We brought him in to know how to con people. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll give you everything. So it's all the tricks, man. We did experiments. Like one of my favorite experiments was we brought in a guy for a seminar, and the guy we brought in for a seminar, I filled the classroom full of 10 people who all had trained martial arts for a very long time. Right. And all from different disciplines. We had a Krav Maga lady there, a capoeira guy who owned a school for like 20 years, a wrestler, BJJ world champion. We had tons of people there. And then one of the guys fell out. So we decided as an experiment, we'll put our camera guy in there as well, one of our cameramen, and he had never trained a day in his life. So we had the gambit of people who had trained forever, just a little bit of time, and never. Okay. And man, like this dude, one of my favorite things ever is going to definitely be in the film because we're editing that scene right now. But so this dude, I told these people for the first hour, go with whatever he says. Yeah. If it doesn't work, pretend it does. And he does. He teaches us bullshit for like an hour. Pressure point stuff. None of it hurts, but we're just pretending. Yeah. After that hour, I told everybody, be yourself. I didn't say attack the man. I didn't say make fun of the man. I just said, be yourself. If you have questions, ask questions, and just do whatever it is that you would do under these normal circumstances. And so, man, after that hour, hands are raised. Everybody starts asking this dude questions. He starts profusely sweating because how nervous he was. And they were basic questions, like nothing hard. And then somebody in the audience goes, well, what happens if somebody stabs you? And he got real excited. He goes, oh, He goes over to his bag and he grabs a rubber training knife, and he comes over and he hands the knife. He thought that none of them really trained much, but he hands the knife to the only guy who was never trained. And he goes, what kind of attack are we talking about? And somebody said, like the upward prison shank. And he goes, oh, okay. And so he starts doing this weird X block thing as our guy is like upward stabbing him. And our guy stabbed him over 32 times, like as he's trying this bullshit. So one of the people in the back go, well, what about this? And does like a 2-1-1 grip on the knife, which is way more effective. And the guy goes, oh, that's ridiculous, because now what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So he goes, I'll show you why I wouldn't do that. He bum rushes our camera guy and wraps his arms around him. But what he doesn't really realize for some reason is that he hasn't pinned down the knife arm. So the guy, our camera guy, has his knife behind this guy's back as he's being held, and a good part on him, he doesn't actually touch him with the knife, but he's pretending to stab him with the knife behind his back. And so the guy's like, as you can clearly see, I have complete control of the situation. And somebody in the back goes, being sarcastic, goes, what happens if he stabs you in the back? And he bold-faced, and the beauty of this was the gym that we did this in was in Compton. So it was like the students that were waiting were no nonsense type people. They, they had a rough life. And so he goes, well, if you get stabbed in the back, it's not that bad because you don't see the blood. And it's
oh my God, I'll be dying laughing watching this.
Oh, it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Like, but yeah, we had a blast. We did an experiment where I tried to see if I could fool people teaching the same nonsense that's out there. Fooled every one of them, every last person. They all believed that I had these powers that I can knock someone out with the touch, which is scary because what it goes to show is you don't know what you don't know. And there's so many people who are not educated in the martial arts. There are so many people who look at what's going on TV and they make a lot of assumptions, but if they've never experienced it or gone through it, then they have no clue. And it's so easy, which is the scary part, to just fool these people. And that's why I never run out of content, because there's the con men, but everywhere.
Tell us what's new to come of McDojolife. Maybe by the end of 2021, what do we see dropping?
Well, definitely going to have we're working on distribution right now for our film. And so we're putting together our trailer. I got the first draft of the trailer 2 days ago. I gave that to my producer, and we both reviewed it. And then we're going to go in a different direction. We just didn't like the first cut at all of our trailer. So we were like, look, it's way better than this. We need a better trailer to like show this thing off. And so they're going back to the drawing board and changing up the trailer. And I'll have that actually by the end of the week. So I'm excited. So I should have my trailer by Friday, at least a new first draft of how we were looking to change it. So then we're working on distribution. So hopefully we'll get that picked up within the next few days, which is what we're looking to do, is get that meeting. Once we get the meeting, then we'll be able to move forward and see what happens after that. But we're in the distribution phase. But I've been working on a book with a guy named Lewis Martin, and a lot of people like ask me a lot of shit about me, but like my page isn't about me. So it doesn't matter who I am. So that's just how I view it. It's not about me or my accolades or shit that I've done. So people are always asking me like, you never fought. Be like, bitch, look, bitch, I've been around the world fighting. Like I've been doing this shit since most of these assholes were in diapers. Just because I'm old and don't fucking fight people for money anymore doesn't mean that I still don't have these hands. But at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, it's like I'm trying to grow, but people ask me so much about shit. And like every time I like go on live, I always have like a story about shit that I've done in the martial arts. So I'm writing a book about that. Mostly about like, and most people don't, people in Jacksonville will know this. People outside of Jacksonville might not know this, but back in the day, amateur fighting wasn't like amateur fighting is now. And smoker fights were all you could really get back in the day. Like It was really hard. Like it was few and far between to get like really good sanctioned fights. So a lot of guys busted their chops in smokers. And we had a smoker that was in town at a club called Plush. And it was Friday night fights. And I was fighting in that arena at 15 years old. And the only reason I was able to fight in that was because my instructor was the promoter for it. And so he was like, you have to fight first, then you have to leave. He goes, if you're going to do it, those are the rules, which eventually turned into him not giving two shits. But that's how it started. And but the thing was, is the bar itself was 21 years old and up. So I was like a 15-year-old dude, and the only people I was going to be able to fight were 21 years and up. And I just
Yes.
accepted it just to try to, bust my chops and see what I could get done. And I had a blast doing it, but I have so many great stories from that club, stories in the martial arts industry about meeting people and, having to, sometimes yoke people up, sometimes getting my ass whooped. And so hopefully people will enjoy the book. So that's another thing coming up the pipe.
Awesome. So can you tell our viewers where they can find you, where they can follow you, where they can purchase your merch?
Yeah, dude, just go to McDojolife on pretty much any social media platform. And all of our merchandise is actually done by Epic Roll BJJ. So if you go to Epic Roll BJJ, that dude's awesome. He takes care of all our merchandise, and he's a great dude as well. So,
all right. Well, you heard it, folks. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode. Rob, thank you so much for coming on my show. I'm looking forward to seeing this doc. Follow him. All of his information will be in the description. Have a good one, guys.